quarterback room that also includes Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito. The Super Bowl champ quarterback posted about his excitement last night with the words, "Been here before, can't wait to do it again," hashtag MetLife. That, of course, referring to the Super Bowl that he won, throwing for 206 yards and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl 48 as the Seahawks blew out the Broncos 43-8 back in 2014. And so there's one huge question that has emerged from this, with the Giants having made the moves they've made. They signed Russell Wilson after signing Jameis Winston. Jordan Ronan covers the Giants for us, and he's a regular with us here. Jordan, thanks for jumping in a minute. Everyone is asking, does this mean the Giants don't take a quarterback at number 3 next month? What's the answer to that?
Yeah, absolutely not is the answer. It means that it's still in consideration. It may mean they're less likely to take a quarterback at number 3, but they may move back into the back half of the first round, take a quarterback on day 2. And the reason I say this, Screeny, is because let me take you back for 1 second to the end of the season when John Mara spoke, when he essentially put Joe Shane and Brian Daboll on the hot seat. He said it multiple times. Our number 1 priority this offseason is to find our quarterback of the future, right? Now we're looking at Russell Wilson, who's on his 4th team in 5 years. Jameis Wilson, who hasn't really been a regular starter for 5 years. Does that in any way, shape, or form indicate they have their quarterback of the future? So the Giants are still going to look. They're still going through the process. One of the major components of the quarterback evaluation process, especially for the Giants, is the private workouts. They're going to have a private workout with Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and most of the other top quarterbacks. That's still a big part of their process. They're not quite there yet. I've heard from both sides, there are people in the building that like Shedeur Sanders, and there are others that aren't enamored by him. So it's still a question about whether he's the pick at 3, but they will take a quarterback.
So here's the thing that drives me crazy, Jordan. I'm going to yell at you, even though this is clearly not your fault. But I just pay attention to the things people say. You just talked about John Mara saying that the priority of this offseason is to come away with their quarterback of the future. Great. Makes all the sense in the world. I also heard him say during this offseason to a very well-known New York reporter named Bruce Beck, said to him, we better start winning quickly here, Bruce, because I'm running out of patience. So those two things don't go together real well, right? Drafting, let's just live in a world where they decide we've got to get our quarterback of the future. So we take Shedeur Sanders at 3, and then we wind up winning the 4 games that everyone is projecting us to win this year, and we have a new coach and a new general manager next season, and Shedeur Sanders isn't their guy. Now you get yourself on this hamster wheel that they've been running on in Chicago for a very long time, and that's a terrible place to be. So I'm yelling at you, and I'm giving you the opportunity to react to it, even though obviously none of this is your fault.
They're straddling both sides. I agree. But this is how could you begrudge Joe Shane and Brian Daboll? They've been put in this situation. They have to win games in 2025. Joe Shane said at the Combine, I have to find the quarterback who gives us the best chance to win games in 2025, while at the same time trying to fill that mandate of finding a future franchise quarterback, because you're really roaming in the desert in the middle of nowhere if you don't have that guy. So I don't begrudge them, but it's the situation they've been put in by ownership right now.
I agree. That's my point. At the end of the day, it comes back to the guy making the biggest decisions. Jordan, thank you for jumping in. We'll check in with you. I'm told that we have a soundbite ready that I want you to hear. It's from Chris Big Dog Canty on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio this morning. The question was raised about whether the Giants should still take a quarterback at number 3 based upon what they've done. He had, as he tends to do, a very strong reaction.
I am adamantly opposed to drafting a quarterback in the first round when your GM and your head coach are on the hot seat, because they're not doing what's in the best interest of developing the kid. They're doing what's in the best interest of saving their jobs. And it could do a disservice to the kid. You could get the career knocked out of him before it even gets started. I played with David Carr when I was with the New York Giants. He was Eli Manning's backup. You know why? Because the Houston Texans let him get the career knocked out of him when he was the number 1 overall pick. We can't keep doing this dysfunction. We've seen it time and time again.
May I just say, extra points for him. He couldn't be more right. Couldn't be more right. This is the point I'm making, is that those things don't go together. You cannot have a coach and a general manager. The owner has said they're on the hot seat. We're not making this up. He said it. He might as well have used those words. Right. And then you take a quarterback at number 3.
Yeah, and then the quarterback, we saw this happen with Justin Fields. And then now the quarterback is in a different system.
And before him, it's Trubisky.
Right. And then
the Bears literally did this every single time.
Right. That's why I say you take the best player available and understanding that it may cost Shane and Daboll their jobs. Not that I'm advocating for that because I never would. But even with the quarterback, what's their record going to be? Vegas has them at 3. So,
Vegas has the over-under on wins at 3.5.
So punching above your weight class is 5. That still puts you in the top 5 for the draft the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be better, moving back and getting more assets to be able to have draft capital for next year.
But can I push back in the sense of to what CC is saying, Chris Canty, and he brought up David Carr. David Carr was brought in, and he was out there playing. The thing is, they draft Shedeur at number 3 because they fall in love with him. The fact that they signed Russell Wilson, to me, is a difference maker in this. So even if it is Brian Daboll and Joe Shane at the helm, if you have a veteran quarterback that is going to take those lumps in a 3-win season, but you believe that Shedeur Sanders is your quarterback of the future, he's not getting beat up as a rookie. He's getting to watch it.
You're missing the point. The point is that Shane and Daboll won't be here if they don't win games.
We're not saying that.
What if the next
We're not saying that about Drake May right now with Mike Vrabel as his head coach because it was the same thing. He got drafted with Gerard Mayo.
Right.
They have a brand new system. There's really nobody left in the building, and everybody has high hopes for Drake May because of what he showed in year 1.
But what if the new regime wants a 6'6" quarterback with mobility, a dual threat guy in his system, and not a guy that's
we ain't paying that regime to come into this team. If John Marin, if he is convinced by the staff and the scouting staff there that Shedeur Sanders is a guy that's going to lead you, the next regime has to believe in Shedeur Sanders as well.
That's an excellent point.
And
that now you're putting yourself into a trick box. Now you're basically you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to hire people based on what they think of Shedeur Sanders, who is a prospect that people seem to have mixed opinion on. I'm not an analyst. I can't sit there and tell you how great I think he's going to be really good. But what the heck do I know? There are lots of people who don't think that. And so now you're putting yourself in that. I don't like the way this is unfolding at all.
See, here's what I took out of Jordan Renan's, what he was talking about. Yeah. The point that he made that even in the Giants' own building, there isn't consensus. That, to me, is a problem. Now, we have time throughout. We still got the private workouts. But if you don't have consensus, why you do that's the worst case scenario, drafting a quarterback at number 3. You'd be better off just taking the highest ranked player on the board at that time. You are setting yourself up for disaster if you don't have consensus on the quarterback in the building.
Even for Shedeur, why would you want to go to an organization like that that's kind of in flux, that's not, well developed in their program building? It's almost best sometimes to even fall, right, to the Jets, or maybe to
Raiders
or
at 6,
to the Saints.
Yeah. Saints at 9.
Because at least they have their regime. They have new coaches that's going to be there to grow with this kid. It could be that's a bad situation to put any player in, where you got a coach on a hot seat and you expect the quarterback when you draft him to be there for 15 years.
Can I ask an entirely different question here? Let's dismiss that case and move on to the next one. If Shedeur Sanders is on a team where the coach is on the hot seat and things start going in one direction or another, are the rumors about his dad becoming the coach going to start? Is that going to happen? If I'm just making this up. This is a question. It is not a statement.
That's a fair point, because Deion is a hell of a coach.
Deion is a guy who I think if he wanted an NFL coaching job would have one.
No question.
Right? I think he is very selective about which ones he would want.
And who has maximized Shedeur's talent? Shedeur's never had a coach that wasn't his dad since high school.
Right. His dad was the offensive